Mike, wouldn't it be nice to be able to better understand all the different lives that we have lived so that way we could easily make great, profound choices in our life right now?
And it'd be a nice thing to know, stories to tell the grandkids. I was a gladiator in a previous life.
Well, our guest today, Lisa Barnett, she's an author. She also has a website, akashicknowing.com, is an author of a book called Infinite Wisdom of the Akashic Records. And it's my understanding that the book is filled with a lot of different ways you can get to better know about yourself.
Yeah, I'd like to browse the Akashic Records. I could probably go to that bookstore and spend the whole day.
I think so. Welcome, Lisa.
Thank you. Thank you. It is a pleasure to be here. And, you are totally right, Mike, that not only for a whole day could you browse your Akashic Records, you could browse your Akashic Records for a lifetime because there is so much wisdom and information and guidance in your records for you.
I've heard said by some people, it's like, why can't we remember our past lives? Because why am I doing this stuff again? Why can't I bring all those things I knew into this life and just like nail it?
Well,
It's just not
there
fair.
is. The reason we don't is because we're learning and growing as a soul. And so if you could remember everything, it would be like having a cheat sheet, right? It would be like cheating on a test.
Yeah.
So in some ways, we come to not know the answers, but to see if we can learn and make a better choice in this lifetime compared to in another lifetime when we totally goofed up our life. So it's all about soul growth. We come here because our souls believe that it's a fabulous place to learn and grow.
Mhm.
And the thing with the Akashic Records, though, is there's a kind of that cheat sheet ability in the record. So when you learn to access your very own Akashic Records, then you can go and ask your record keepers for information. What did I write about in my soul plan? What the heck was I thinking when I came to Earth this time? Do I have gifts and talents I'm unaware of? I mean, that's some pretty big stuff that you can actually find out about in your Akashic Records.
Who are these record keepers?
They are pure beings of light. They have never been human. When they individuated from source in the very beginning, most of us go on a big journey and we go to other planets and galaxies and we create stuff and then we come to Earth eventually. We live a whole kind of soul journey. But the record keepers kind of stay in source energy. It would be like if you imagine a soul individuated from source and then they just went and moved into a library and stayed there and were the librarians for you forever. So they're pure source energy. And interesting kind of aside, I know we talked a little bit earlier about maybe what I've discovered in the Akashic Records. But one of the things I did discover is these record keepers said to me, you were once a record keeper. And that's why we're asking you to bring this Akashic wisdom back to Earth now. So, because there is no time and space, right? We could live for hundreds or thousands of years in Earth time as a record keeper for a soul, and then we eventually get to go on and choose something different and eventually come to Earth. And so apparently I was a librarian at one point, and that's why I have a propensity to do and to channel this information for the world. Because kind of another interesting story is back in the Dark Ages, the information and energy of the Akashic Records were pulled away from the Earth because people misuse the information for their own gain. So in the Dark Ages, people would go into the records and say, how can I win this war? Or where does that king hide his gold and jewels? And so we misused the information, and so they literally pulled the vibration away, which I don't think was very hard, because the vibration of the planet in the Dark Ages was, well, as you can guess, very low and dark. So
now is the Akashic Records just for Earth?
Well, I guess I could answer that in two ways. There is an Akashic record of the Earth itself, because she, the planet Gaia, Mother Earth, is a sentient conscious being who is actually working on her own process of awakening and enlightenment. But our records go through time immemorial, so they include other lifetimes in other places, planes, and dimensions, as well as our lives here on Earth. So I could go back to when I lived on the dog star Sirius. I'm very Sirian. That's one of my planets. I'm also very galactic. I traveled a lot of planets and universes. I can remember actually having been a whale here on Earth. The whales and the dolphins also come from Sirius A, and then the Egyptians come from Sirius B. It's a two planets to Sirius. And I used to come back when it was the Ice Ages, when there weren't people here on Earth. So we're ancient, kind of beyond our normal concept.
See, I always thought that I've only had a few lifetimes here on the Earth that I've been out there. As a matter of fact, a lot of people say, Patrick, you're out there. but you know, it's I don't have a feeling like I've been on this Earth realm many times. Now, I may be wrong, or maybe I'm just blocking that out. But I've always felt that all my life.
Interesting. Yeah, there's a lot of people who are very galactic, and even though I am very, very galactic, I also know that I've been coming to the planet forever. So I think we can really be both. So it would be curious to open your records and ask how many lifetimes you've had here on Earth. Definitely a lot of the starseeds, some of the younger people, more, I'm going to say 20 and under, are much newer to Earth souls, are much more galactic. But I would say that most of us who are over 30 have been coming here for a while. And sometimes we take big breaks, and, you know, and sometimes, like I say, if I've been coming here since the Ice Ages, yeah, well, that's why when I was 3 years old and I realized I'm trapped in a body again, and I thought,
So why do we do that?
It.
Why do we do that to ourselves? Why do we come down to Earth where it's real dense, and it's we can't remember anything, and we've lost our powers? Why do we do that to ourselves?
Because we know that we are infinite souls, and this is a flash in the pan, right? It's not very long to live a lifetime on Earth. But we come to be of service. We come to bring the light and the wisdom that we have back to the planet. So, you know, that's part of my soul purpose, is to bring the vibration and the wisdom of the Akashic Records back to the planet, because it's only been back here since like the 1960s. And I was born in the 50s. So when I came in with, okay, I'll be one of those people who's coming to bring this information and energy back to humanity, to help to elevate humanity. So, you know, the ancient wise old souls are coming to help us to awaken. And so it's a fabulous time in history. It may be kind of sucky in a lot of ways, but let me say, when I look at it and I say, no, I came to help save the world, because, you know, we were on a iffy trajectory. There was a possibility that we would blow ourselves up. But I think with enough light workers here on the planet, with enough light, coming to Earth, we have shifted that trajectory into a higher trajectory where we actually will eventually move towards a fifth dimension into awakening.
Yeah, I think when you know what the big picture is and realize what's going on, you can calm down and see how it's all playing out, and it makes sense. And it's hard to tell people those things without seeming a little weird, but the strangeness of all of this going on right now, it makes sense if you know.
Right.
You know,
I totally agree.
we have what, 7 billion people in this world? So somewhere around there.
Last time
Yep.
I counted.
Yeah, they're hard to count because they keep on moving around.
Yeah.
But we have 7 billion, of which at least tens of millions of people live in the poorest of the poor, who live hand to foot, death, misery, things of that nature. Why would we as human beings choose a life like that? That's something I could never understand, why we would come back into that realm.
Yeah, I have a theory, but you go first.
Okay. I want to hear your theory, Mike. So I get two different reasons, because again, we are ancient and unique, many of us, and some people are actually newer souls. And so some people who are kind of starting at square one, and again, this is complicated because we're complex souls. Some people start at square one, which is to learn about survival. And we actually are born into those places where that is really all of life, is survival. And so we work really through the energies of survival and death and all of that pain and trauma. We work up into some of the energies of emotion, learning about emotions and being able to be love and to share love. Now, that usually takes us a long time to get there. But survival is one of the first places that we often start as a newer soul. So you have those people who are in those worlds or places. And then you have the ancient souls who say, you know, I'm going to come and help to hold a higher energy or vibration. I'm going to be the compassion or the love. I'm going to be the Mother Teresa, you know, in this place. I'm going to help to bring food and survival to people. And so you have, it doesn't have to be a Mother Teresa. It can be anyone who is caring and compassionate and helping to share whatever it might be that they have. They're changing the energy of that place and of those people around them. So it may be our base learning about survival. It may be showing up in that place to help to elevate the energy and the wisdom. And, you know, so we kind of do it all, especially as we become older, wiser souls. Again, we realize, you know, 60, 80, 100 years is nothing in the cycle of an infinite, you know, world. And so what is 80 years in infinity? When I think about the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of lifetimes I've lived here on this planet, not to mention being a whale or being on Sirius or being in other galactic worlds. This is a flash in the pan. It is over in a split second. And so we show up and do these sorts of things to be of service, to be the higher light. And sometimes we can pass over some of that. So some of the newer souls, like we were talking about, that are more galactic, coming from other places and worlds, they may go straight into a place of technology. They may be showing up to bring, you know, new technology, new out of the box thinking into the corporate world, into, you know, into the world. So they may kind of pass over some of those kinds of lives here on Earth. And I think there's a lot of people who are coming now to do that for us, to help us in that way, technologically, with new ideas.
So it sounds like There's a lot of answers that you can give in the infinite wisdom of Akashic Records in your book.
Yes,
And
yes.
again, where can you get the book?
So this book, The Infinite Wisdom of the Akashic Records, is on Amazon. Yep.
There
Amazon,
you go.
all over.
Right in front of you. Yeah, there we go. Good. Excellent.
So it's on Amazon.com. So it's there and available. As a matter of fact, it's even been translated into Spanish and Czech.
Wow.
So it's available in other countries, but it's also in 2 other languages that it's been translated into. So on Amazon.com, all over the world.
Okay, I guess my theory was, if we're in a place like heaven, in between lives, which is a perfect place of love, and it's like California, 70 degrees every day and sunny and wonderful, that can get boring after a while. And so, it's the same thing. Why do we like scary movies? Or, there's people that want to go on these survivalist shows to see if they can survive naked in a, whatever in the jungle. Why would somebody want to go willingly into a jungle without food and stay there for a month? And that's the idea behind sort of like coming back here. It's like, well, that's an adventure. Let's get dropped in the middle of a war or something and have that adventure and try and learn something from it. And, why would you leave the perfect world to do that? Well, we kind of thrive on those things sometimes. That's my little
I agree.
theory
It's
on
boring.
Heaven's
Perfection
boring.
is boring.
Perfection.
I
love
agree.
things,
I
but
mean,
shake it up a little bit.
I'm with you 100%. And again, when you've been through that and you can bring some of that, at least consciousness on some level to the world, you can see people all over the world. There are people who shine, who may be living in a challenging place, wherever in the world, and they're creating a business. They're finding ways to clean the plastics out of the ocean, to bring water to villages that usually have to walk for 3 hours each way to get a bucket of water so they survive, et cetera, et cetera. So you'll see people showing up in those places, as well as other people who are showing up to help change and elevate the consciousness and to help people survive with greater ease. And so it is one of the reasons we come here. We come here because we love this place. It's the only place where we get this real kind of crazy, yummy, tactile reality in this blue-green world. The green, the grass, the blue oceans, the fish, it's the food, where else do we get to go and create like we can here? Make babies, right? Not only the fun of making babies, but the phenomenal idea of actually being able to create another life. We are very, very powerful souls. And when we can step into that energy and wisdom that I am enough, I am a creator being, I can create a better world for everyone, create a better life for myself and my family, when we can shift our thoughts and ideas out of, from victimhood to victor, when we can go from there's no one to blame but myself, and I'm taking, charge. I'm making a new choice. And that's what your Akashic Records can really help you do, to make a new choice, to see the big picture, to understand who you are, not only here in this life, but through time immemorial, that you may have been a gladiator, a warrior, maybe from another world. Maybe you were a dolphin and one of my whale buddies or something, right? And you've come to do great things. Obviously, you too are expanding the consciousness around the world by doing this show.
The book that you do have, goes into that a great deal. there are some people that believe in the multiverse, to where there's several Pat Dangles and several Mike Thompsons and various different things. In your work with the Akashic Records, have you ever run across multiverse kinds of individuals? Am I making sense?
I'm really not 100% sure of, the multiverse individuals you're speaking of. So I don't think I've run kind of into that
Okay.
idea
All
or
right.
energy as much. I believe in parallel universes and worlds.
Okay. So
So yeah,
so
we're
is
big
there-
souls.
is there other Lisa Barnetts in other parallel worlds? Okay.
Yeah.
That's a multiverse. Then. Okay.
Yeah. I think parallel universes is the old school way of saying it.
Okay. All right. No, that's fine.
More old school. Multiverse is a little more modern. But absolutely. So it is interesting. I have, sometimes we actually slip into a parallel universe in this life. I've had experiences, not often, but 2 or 3 times, where just as you're kind of crossing into sleep, I'll be all of a sudden having a conversation with someone about something this Lisa has no idea about.
Sure.
And kind of in a similar but different world, and I'll be like, pop, and I'll pop back and I'm like, I just like slipped into a parallel universe, and that was very weird. So I totally believe in them. I think that we sometimes have a couple parallel lives running at the same time. Sometimes lives in this world plane cross over with kind of 2 parts of your soul, so they can cross over time in the timeline again, because there really is no time and space. So
Do you think that sort of explains deja vu?
I think it can in some ways. I think that deja vu can also be like it can be a past life memory, it can be a past moment memory, it can be a future now memory. Absolutely. We are way more multi-dimensional than we think we are. Absolutely.
That's rather interesting. So just going one more question with the parallel. Do you find that the individual makeup, the physical form of the individual, is shared in other parallel? So in other words, I would always be male. I would always have jet black hair, but because of Mike's lights, it makes it light. I would always have 8 fingers and 2 thumbs. Or is the parallel universe entities different?
Boy, that's an interesting question. So the only thing I can truly speak to is more my personal experience, which is when I slip into a parallel universe, it's another similar Lisa. I look
So
similar.
You're no cooler than you are now.
Heck.
But the other thing is that we do it all. So that might be kind of a parallel in this realm, but in another plane or dimension or realm, you could be a woman doing something completely and utterly different, right?
I truly believe that there are a number of us, parts of us over the oversoul, that are visiting parts of the earth or parts of the other planets or whatever.
Right. And so that was the fascinating thing I know we talked about last time, is when I did a reading for someone who was a walk-in, but it turned out it was almost different aspects from the same oversoul.
Mm-hmm.
So one soul, different aspects.
Yes.
One aspect had a lot of pain that she wanted to heal, but may have healed enough of it that they pulled that aspect out, and actually the bigger part of the oversoul or bigger part of the soul came in. So way more galactic soul, very expansive consciousness that came into the same body now, same soul, but really different experience. So I think we're just so much more complicated than we can even imagine. And so I see a lot of this in the records, but
I tend to agree. I also believe that many of us that are gaining in frequency, etc., are becoming oversouls ourselves. So to where when we go on the other side and we decide certain aspects of Patrick goes into a different form, etc., we become their oversoul. So we only have a few more minutes. Tell us again about your website, and isn't there a free gift that you have available?
yes, I do. So my website is akashicknowing.com. And there is a free gift right there on the homepage. Let me just spell Akashic for you. It's AKASHICKNOWING.com. And on the website, not only will you be able to find out more about the classes I teach. I have a class that will start online, 6-week course that teaches you how to access your own Akashic records, and that'll start in January. And I have students all over the world, and it's very fun to bring this huge group together and teach them to learn about the wisdom of their soul. So information is on my website, and my free gift is a beautiful guided visualization to help you connect deeper on a heart level with the people around you.
Ah, very good.
So very beautiful energy, and you can learn also more about having an Akashic reading and about my 2 books, all at akashickknowing.com.
So what kind of a class is it? Is it reading and replying with text, or is it live video, recorded videos, or what kind of a thing is it?
Yeah, so it's I do it on instant teleseminar, so it's live. You can be on the phone or you can type in. So different people around the world like to do it different ways. I really have so much of the information not only in a manual, so you get a 45-page manual, but also I do it with slides. So I don't do live video this way, but I do it with slides so that people can read the healing prayers. I teach a 5-step wisdom prayer system to access your records. So I teach you a vibrational key to open the records, which is much easier than trying to learn to access your records through like meditation. So it's a simple 5-step process, and people call in so I can answer your questions live, or you can type them in, and over 6 weeks people really learn to access and go deep into their own Akashic wisdom.
I think that would be fantastic. Again, we're talking with Lisa Barnett. Lisa is an author of several books. One that we're talking about is The Infinite Wisdom of Akashic Records. You can go on her website, akashicknowing.com. If you look right beneath Lisa's picture, you'll see that. And then we have other information in the description. I've learned a lot, Mike.
Mm-hmm. It's always an interesting conversation.
Yes. Lisa makes it fun. Mm-hmm. Lisa, thank you very much. I'm Patrick.
Thank you.
I'm Mike, and thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on Form of Reality.